the Economic Ninjas 10-day video challenge. This is video number 3. Greed, a poor man's mindset. I'm going to share a handful of stories with you, and the topic, greed, a poor man's mindset. The Economic Ninja and many other channels that I listen to that have helped me think about money differently. And I've given myself more of a financial education because I listen to people like him and many others. And they all say the same thing. You have to stop thinking like a poor man. You have to stop thinking, change your mindset, that you start thinking like a wealthy person. Start looking at money differently, or you will always look at money, feel the way about money, and use money like a poor man. And I'm going to share some stories that I used to think. I used to think in certain ways. However, I never agreed with it, but my environment, you hear the same thing over and over again. You witness the same thing over and over again, and I never agreed. And I'm happy I'm here now because I know what's around the corner for me. So let's start sharing the stories. The first story. It was just a couple of years ago. This is something that my mom owns a home and she upgrades it, and you need money to do so. She has a cozy safe haven. She's warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and she takes very good care of her home. You feel safe. She said, Michelle, she's done this before with me, but this is the most recent time she's used me to do this. I want you to go to the bank, and I want you to take out $5,000. She needed it because she was paying cash to, I think the last time was windows. She did half her windows in her house, upgraded them. And I said, okay, no problem. I knew the deal. She told me what she was planning on doing, and I listened to her. Okay. I go to the bank, and I'm waiting online. It wasn't a long line. I was online maybe 5 minutes. And I've witnessed this before, but this time it was thick, and it was boring. And I was like, I wish these people would just shut up. It's not something to be proud of. Shut up. They're online. They're at the counter. And these two people are talking while the two clerks, whatever you want to call them, are gathering whatever they're doing for the customers. There was one person in front of me and I was right behind him. And they were talking how much they work. I work 50 hours. I work 60 hours. Oh, I know. I work weekends and I do this and I do that. It was like this competition of boredom. I was like, God, these people are boring. Why are you going around making it seem like it's something to be glorified? That you're working for other people, you're working day and night, and it's not even for your own purpose. Like, you're not your own boss. It could be any industry. You're working for someone else, and you're bragging so much how you work. I know. I mean, it was just this pathetic, boorish competition that I listened to. I finally get up to the counter. I go, hello, how are you? I would like, and now there's people talking. You have to understand there's a couple people over there, and these two that just had to outshine each other on how much they work. Like, you have no other purpose in life. It's work, work, work. So I tell the lady, I said, I would like to withdraw $5,000, please. Psh, the entire bank. Shh. Not a peep. And I said, yes, please. She was like, well, she was asking me, what kind of bills do you want? And I was like, oh, well, whatever you can give me. Well, whatever. I think when my mother told me something, I said, this is it. And I was like, okay, thank you. Quiet. Not a peep. I stood there. I counted that money. And when I got home, my mother was like, did you count it? She always says that. Yes, I did, Mom. I counted it. Until I walked out of the bank. Shh. Everybody got real quiet. It got really funny. What's this woman taking out $5,000 for? It's called maintaining your home. It's called saving, and she is a wise investor. I don't know everything she's into, but she knows how to take care of herself, and she knows how to earn enough money to maintain her home. But that's a poor man's mindset. And it was only a couple of years ago. It was so fresh in my mind, and that's happened before. But the older I get, the more I notice stuff like that. Really annoying. And I was bored listening to them. I was like, oh my God. I don't know why. You already heard me. Next story. Over the years, I guess I would say over the course of 20 years, I used to play the numbers a lot. The 3-pick and the 4-pick, those were my babies. And sometimes that Keno game, I'm sure it's called something else, but they're in the Tiamo stores. I don't know how much I spent to earn this, but there's no question that I won in total 20 grand over 20 years. Absolutely. And when you tell people that you win money, their voices rise. You see their bodies, their bodies almost like lift off the ground of, good for you. Wow. Like they're not, instead of going, hey, way to go. How much you spend to get that, or just a congratulations, or not the rising of the voice, like when you tell someone something good and they're annoyed that you're happy and something good and different is happening for you. The voice rises, the body language. You got to read it. And after so many years, you notice it. Same thing, it was my 50th birthday, and we went out to dinner. My mother invited her friends, and they're like family friends. And I told the woman that's my age, it was like my mom and her girlfriend and her daughter and me. And I was just making conversation. I was like, yeah, we went out to dinner for my 50th. And I told her that my mother gave me, I think it was $2,500, something like that. And her voice raised and her body lifted off the chair. I'm like, this is a friend. Instead of saying, well, that was really nice of you, Mom. That's great. She gave me money to use for my next car, which is the car I have now. So I told my mother, please hold on to it. I don't need that now. I'll use that when I get another car, and I'll match it, and I'll have a down payment. I'm thinking like a poor man. But my next car, I won't be buying it like a poor man. I already know that. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. You can check out Car Edge. This is going to be a shout out video too for the Economic Ninja and Car Edge. And you have to pay attention, because when people tell me things like that, my voice doesn't raise. I don't get, lifted off the ground. And I'm just like, poor man mindset. It's just another example of the way, you might have a house, you might have a car, but you have that poor man mindset. If you don't go to work, you can't afford that. I know you have bad debt. That's a whole nother video. Next story. This story might sound kind of sad, but it's not. Understand that I had a biological father, but someone else raised me. And he was my father because he raised me. That's how I looked at it. My biological father, I did try to have a relationship with him. And I remember the 2 times when I got my first car, I went out of my way to reach out without anybody helping me reach out to him. And he just used me and he threw me to the side. And fast forward 30 years later, I never saw him. So, long story short, he passed. It was a couple of years ago. And I do have a half sibling. And of course, a stepbrother was in the picture, and his stepmom. And the way I see it, I removed people from my life. When I was 26, I made that decision. I'll never forget it. It was a life-changing moment for me. So, again, fast forward. My biological father passed away like 2 or 3 years ago. This lingered on for a while afterwards. And someone had to take care of his, estate stuff. And people reached out to me. And I chose to ignore it. I did speak with someone, and I thanked them for their time. They did explain the situation to me. They hired someone. And instead of, I read the story. He sued someone in his last days, and he won. And I read the story twice. Took about 20 minutes. How much did this man get? No money's worth anything to give up your happiness and where you're headed. If you're so much happier leaving a chapter behind. Okay, that's another story. The point is they reached out and they wanted me to make it easier on them because someone needed to control his estate. And I know he wasn't close to my sibling. That I knew. But I believe she took over. I just let them do what they had to do. Let them go to court. Now, I know people had hissy fits. I know enough that they left a lot of notices at my door. They wanted me to do this online, do that online. You stole so much of my childhood away. That's how I see it, as a balanced, emotionally developed individual. I look back and I go, they were mean. They didn't have to do that to me. It wasn't about the kids. It was more about them being angry with each other, whatever. You take care of it. I didn't want to give any more of my life to any of that nonsense, to that group of people at all. How much could he have gotten? Didn't make him a millionaire after he passed. He won a lawsuit at the very end. He hired someone. Not going to tell you the whole story, but he won. Keep it. Good luck. Enjoy. Now, a part of that story is I was working at my last job, and this was going on. Well, I guess he was on his way out. He didn't pass yet. He only passed, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. He was getting sick and he was reaching out. Like now he needed someone to take care of him, but I would take care of my father. I wasn't letting a strange man into my home. It was a mess. Like people were coming out of the woodworks. Throw him on Michelle. No way. I'll take care of my father. I'll take care of my mother. Not some strange man. I mean, just because he was my biological father didn't make him, I didn't know him. It would be like a stranger coming into my home and I had to cater to them. So I got off track a little bit. And I remember telling this woman that she was working with me. She was like one of the managers, and I remember mentioning it to her. And her first reaction, I wasn't even finished with the sentence yet. Maybe you left your money. And I was so turned off. I would have rather had a little bit of a relationship with the crazy man. I knew enough that he was crazy. He was nutty. Didn't make him bad, it made him nutty. So that's another money story to share with you. That was the Will story. And I guess that's it. That's it for this video. The whole point of the Economic Ninja 10-day video challenge was more for stories like this, life experiences, to help people through maybe something similar, but it's sharing life experiences that you learn from, that you get better from. The experience taught you. The experiences made you a better person. And everything I shared with you, I feel, has improved my life, all my choices. So maybe all videos won't be this. I guess this was story time. I don't know how else to say it. I know it sounds a little gloom and doom at the end, but it's not, because I had a wonderful man who raised me the way I see it. And we butted heads. I mean, I even tried to kick him out a couple of times. We butt heads. But he was still my father. And he raised me. You know? So until tomorrow's video, I'm hoping that somebody mentioned I should at least record an 8-minute video. I'll thank them. I believe they work with the Ninja. He gave me some advice. So this one was a long one, but it was good stories. Pay attention. Train yourself to notice what's going on. Get rid of the poor man mindset. That's really the whole point of this video. Poor man mindsets. And I just gave you so many examples. Absolutely. Until tomorrow. Bye for now.